Okay, Year 13, welcome back. So just going to continue with this little podcast series on anatomical terms and references. So I just want to start off doing a very quick recap on the last podcast that we did, and then we'll go on to the new material. So starting off, remember, we're looking at anatomy and physiology. The anatomy we spoke about is pretty much the structure. Okay, so the structure of your body. So we can talk about the skeleton. Okay, we can talk about the arms and the legs. That's kind of the anatomy of our body. Okay, we can also then talk about the physiology. Okay, which is pretty much the functioning of the body, so how it actually kind of moves. So things within the body, we're looking at the muscular system, you might look at the respiratory system, the nervous system. So anatomy is the structure, physiology is the function, how things work. And we did it simplistically looking at a car. Okay, so the outer shell of a car would be the anatomy. Okay, that's the structure of the car, whereas the workings of the car, the functioning side of the car, would be the engine, the gear system, the drive shaft, the gearbox, that type of things. Okay, so nice and simple looking at a car. We then spoke about terms of reference, and it was all about the anatomical position, easy for me to say, the anatomical position. So we had the person standing straight forward, and we also spoke about a midline that divides the body. Once again, if you're finding this going too fast, you just need to go back and watch part 1, which goes at a much slower pace. We then started looking at these terms of reference. So we had things like superior and inferior, and if you remember, superior was above and inferior was below. So the dolphin is superior to the dog, or your head is superior to your knees. Yeah, your hips are superior to your knees. Your knees are superior to your toes. So things, always think about the anatomical position, but that is superior and inferior. We then looked at anterior and posterior. If we use these words, anterior is the front and posterior is behind. Okay, so we could talk about the nose being anterior to the ears. Okay, the nose is anterior to the ears. The nose is in front of the ears. Okay, or this example here, we've got toes and heels. You could say that the heels are posterior to the toes. So the heels are actually behind the toes. All right, nice easy one. We then looked at medial and lateral last time. Now you have to remember this is in conjunction when we talk about the midline of the body. So think about that midline that goes through the center of our body and divides us into two. Now we talk about if things are medial, it means it's closer to the midline. If it's lateral, it's further away. So in this example, the flying pig is medial. Okay, and the angry fish with sharp teeth here is lateral. And I told you the story about my little boy breaking his arm. Now he has a medial fracture of the ulna. So that means that the fracture is towards the elbow, but he also has a lateral fracture as well of the radius. So that's further away towards the wrist. Okay. But we can also describe those injuries as proximal and distal. Okay, so this is a new one here, and this would be the correct terminology in terms of any function or structure you're talking about on an arm or a leg. Okay, so we're looking at limbs of the body here, arms and legs. So if we were to describe a fracture of the elbow, we would actually say that it is proximal, okay, which means it's closer to the main part of the body. So there's a fancy word that we used, which was the axial skeleton, which is pretty much your trunk, and I'm not talking elephant, great sound effects. I'm not talking elephant trunk, I'm talking the trunk like the main core of your body. So the chest area, the abdominals. So if we could kind of draw an area around your upper body area, that is what we call the axial skeleton. So anything that is close to that, we would call it proximal. Anything that's further away from that big body mass is called distal. Okay, so think about distance. If it's in the distance, it's further away. If it's proximal, if it's in the proximity, it's closer. All right, so examples here. Oh, it's these crazy pictures. We've got a frog and an octopus. So which one is further away from the actual tree? The frog is. So we would describe the frog as being distal, and we would describe the octopus as being proximal. So the octopus is closer, okay, to the main part of the body. So elbows or fingers, which one is proximal? Which one is closer to the main part of the body, your elbows or your fingers? Obviously, it's your elbows. So your elbows are proximal, okay? And if we were to reverse that, which one is further away, your elbows or your fingers? We would describe our fingers as being distal. Yeah, so pretty straightforward. And proximal, nearby, distal, further away. But it's all to do with the main part of your body, your axial skeleton, that big chunk in the middle of your body. Here we had a bit of fun with this one, if you remember, prone and supine. Okay, prone basically refers to the front part of your body facing downwards or on the ground. And we spoke about in the army, they have, firing positions, when they shoot guns and things, and they have a prone position. And that is when they lie on their tummies on the ground, okay, to fire their guns. So that's prone. So if you think about doing a press up, like this lady here at the bottom, is she prone or supine? Is her chest facing the ground? Yes, it is. And basically, that means that she is in the prone position. She is in the prone position, facing down on her stomach. Now, the opposite of that, because these things work as opposites, basically supine means on her back. So let's say that she was getting ready to do some crunches or some sit-ups. That is supine. Okay, that is on her back. So prone, laying facing down, and supine, laying face up. That's pretty straightforward, I think. Yeah, so if you're in a press-up position, we would class that as prone. If you're sitting on your backside with your chest facing up towards the sky, let's say you sleep at night on your back, we would say that is a supine position. Moving on. Deep and superficial. Now, these are pretty straightforward too. Okay, so if something is deep, it means that it's further from the surface of the body. Now, obviously, the surface of our body is our skin. So if we refer to something as deep, it means it's further from the skin. The opposite of that is superficial, which means it is closer to the surface of the body. It's closer to the skin. So here it basically says what is deep, your heart or your skin. So which one is deeper? I would argue that it's your heart. So your heart is deeper than your skin. Okay, so your skin is superficial. Your skin is on the top of your heart. We could talk about bone and muscle. Which one is deep? Which one is superficial? So which one, bone or muscle, is deeper within your body? Now it is bone. Okay, so bone is deep, and then you have muscle on top of your bone. So muscle would be superficial. But then we could argue that your muscle is deeper than your skin, and your skin is superficial to your muscles. So just think about which structure is on top of which, and the one that is further back, the one that's furthest from the surface, is classed as being deep. The one that is near the top is superficial. And the last one we're going to cover today is what we've just been talking about, which was the axial skeleton. So the axial is basically your head, neck, and trunk. So if you look at this guy all around here, this is his head, his neck, his trunk. This is the main part of your skeleton that we call the axial skeleton. So if we could draw a rectangle, this is the axial skeleton all the way down the middle here. We then have another skeleton which we call the appendicular. Appendicular refers to the arms and the legs. Okay, so axial refers to the body. Appendicular refers to the arms and legs. So question here, Is your belly button on the axial or appendicular part of your body? So axial means this bit, appendicular means arms. Is your belly button part of the main body, or is it on your arms and legs? Now, if you've got a belly button that's on your arm or your leg, you've got issues, so I would go and get that checked out. So the correct answer is the belly button is on the axial part of your skeleton. Anyway, team, I hope that's helped. And like I say, just rewind this, keep watching it, keep listening, and learn these anatomical reference points, please. You will need them for your assessment. Okay, I'll do another one next week. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying these, and I will see you soon. Love you loads. Bye-bye.